Hello. Welcome. Happy Wednesday or Thursday if you're in Australia. Belle and I wanted to come on and say hello to the community. So if you are hopping on live, please say hello. I know that there is a bunch of new members in some of our groups. We are streaming to our Gene Keys and Human Design group and our Unlock Your Design group and our Facebook page. So wherever you are meeting us at, hello and welcome. And I wonder how your week is going. And I think that the theme for today is an update, an invitation, and mostly a temperature check on community and kind of what you're desiring and with in terms of community, because I know that a lot of you are probably on your cell phone scrolling Facebook or doing what you do. And if you pause for a second and ask yourself, like, what am I distracting myself from? Or what am I longing for that I think I might find in this space? And you'll be surprised at what's underneath the surface. And Bella and I have been trying to develop this culture and community for a while, like really refining what this space means. And I mean, Bella's a 4/6, so community has always been a big thing for her. And I know that our Gene Keys and Human Design group has grown really quickly, really fast. And yeah, how do you want to come in? I feel like I spoke to what I wanted to, but how would you kind of direct?
Yeah, what I realize more and more is that we are really creating our own universe to play in, because recently there have been changes on Facebook and in different groups, and now it's like even if you're adding value to groups, you're often locked out. So I'm so happy that we have built a space that I feel has one of the most beautiful cultures in all the groups. Like I like it because it has a lot of variety with both human design and gene keys, and sometimes a bit of astrology, and it has a little bit of that like quickness of the human design community, and then it kind of has the heart of the gene key community. So I really like the culture in our group. We have a few moderators that are not working that much. I'm possibly the one that's most active. And I have to say, it's very seldom that I have to remove a post or write to somebody. I mean, it's usually even you, Ashley, if somebody does something, you come in once in a lifetime and kind of like make things become in order again.
That's usually why I'm coming in there. And it's not because I'm like finding something. It's because somebody's like, hey, there's a conflict. Fix it. But 6.5 is my life's work. Hey, there's a conflict. What are you going to do about it? Okay, let me look at things. And oftentimes it's either like spam or promotional. And again, this is an Unlock Your Design community. All of these communities are Unlock Your Design communities. So if you weren't really aware that this is a business, this is our business, like I would hope that you would recommend our services, since this is our group that we're bringing together. Obviously, this is not about scarcity or limitation, and there's enough for everyone here. And at the same time, I do want everybody to kind of know whose home you're in. You know, it's like you're kind of in our house soliciting. Like, would you go into somebody's house and solicit? Not necessarily, unless there was an invitation. So there kind of needs to be an invitation more so from us. And when we have really good relationships with people, we promote them. We create affiliate codes too. So if you're promoting us, there's a way for you to become an affiliate as well. And I mean, that's not the main thing that just came up now, because I think it's important to have clarification here. Like, if you desire to promote your services, form a relationship with us, form a relationship with the admin, because it's better to have our support bolstering you than you coming in, and it kind of leaves a bad taste in some people's mouths because they're like, oh, that's not your group. It like feels sticky. And I mean, in a way, this is an open space for you to like ask your questions. There's going to be people who are brand new that are asking for advice. So before you take them out of the group into your space, allow them like point them in the direction of the resources that are in the group, the moderators and admin that we have, and anything that can be answered in the group, because oftentimes many people have the same questions. So just a little bit of clarification and like house rules with that. And then the other thing is I want everybody to feel safe. And there's a lot of amazing energy in here. And at the same time, there's a lot of, we're all human. We're working through stuff. And sometimes big energy really puts a bad taste in people's mouth. And there's like dynamics between manifestors, generators, reflectors, projectors, so many different energy dynamics in there. And I want you to just have a little compassion, understanding, and grace for some things that may happen. But if there's something like blatantly, it feels like there's not consideration, there's not love for humanity, there's not, it just feels a little bit malice and not right. We don't really want that in our space, and we want people to feel safe. So when you find things like that, definitely let us know, because we're here to uphold the integrity of the space. And with so many people in the group, it could be difficult to see everything. But if you find something, a little nugget or treasure, and you want to, let us know about it, you can. But it's always an opportunity for growth when we get triggered. So if something is triggering, like go within first and be like, have a little perspective and see what's coming up for you, because it's always a gift. It's always a treasure. Yeah. Did you want to go into any other kind of like dynamics?
I wanted to make clarification. So the Gene Key Human Design group, like Ashley was saying, it has grown really, really fast. And I believe it is because it has this cool culture that you can come in, you can be brand new, you can have a lot to share and a lot of years into human design or Gene Keys. So it has this beautiful freshness to it all the time. And when it comes to what's in there, both what we as admins are putting in there, and I think most of the people that are posting, is really the inspiration of the day. We don't have a content plan for that group. It's really very much based on the transits and the energies that are alive for the collective. But then also there can be personal, like that's often when Ashley comes in, the 5-1, who has something to share with the communities, because she's going through something and she's going to write this long, beautiful thing that is about her own experience, or, when she has made sense of her own experience. So it has a beautiful combination of many different things. However, it's not really organized. There are a few guides if you're completely new, where you can go in and put your aura type and your profile and all that. So the next step in, if you want something more organized, that would be our inner circle. And that is the membership that we have had, or the product, you could say, that we have had for the longest time. So this goes back years. And I get in my memories now on Facebook, is like 3-4 years ago, when it comes, when we did it for, I think, $11 a month or something, from the beginning. So it's actually Ashley's community from the very beginning, where I started to work with her, more like kind of a experiment, or even like a hobby, it feels like. And then it never died, but it has, in the energy of Unlock Your Design, we are like a universe, and we are never stagnant, I feel. So it's always shifting into new things. So I feel what we wanted to do today is to tell you on a weekly basis, what is the inner circle? And often we don't say the inner circle membership. So like, even clarify, it's a membership. You are paying per month, and you can come in and you can leave and you can come back. It's not really something where you're going to miss out, because we don't do courses in there. We have like weekly content. Some of the things are going over a longer period of time, but things are also staying there for a month. So if you're there for a month, it's going to kind of make sense, what's in there. So that's, and yeah, Ashley, maybe you want to go into the details of what's there.
Yeah. So the inner circle is like a private membership community that we have content that we're going into each month. So there is access to an academy portal, like an online portal that's outside of Facebook, and that gives you access to the vault, which is like previous content, meditations, activations, other conversations, exclusive things that have been in the inner circle, and then the live content. And what we're realizing is we really enjoy the live energy. So the inner circle is about what's alive right now, what's alive this week. And oftentimes there's a lot that you're included in that is all about live energy. So there's not a lot of recordings. It's about you showing up and being like, I'm pulled to this, and trusting that this is exactly where you want to be. So within the inner circle, we have 1, 2, 3. We have 4 things we do weekly, and none of them are recorded. The only thing recorded is the Thrive by Design series that we're doing, where we're going into the centers, and you have about a month to go through the material. That's the only thing that is like a set curriculum. But on Mondays, we have something that we call walking the wheel. So it's about the transits, and the transits mean that the sun is activating a certain gate for the collective. So right now we are in the goodwill archetype. That's gate 45 or gene key 45, dominance, synergy, and communion. And so that's what's alive right now. So we gathered on Monday to talk about the heroine, which is 35, and goodwill, which is 45. So every Monday at 10 a.m. Pacific and 1 p.m. Eastern, we come into the live space together. We talk about it. Bella has a unique style of leading it. I have a unique style of leading it. Most of the time it's either me or Bella, and occasionally we do stuff together. And if you have purchased any of the archetype courses, this is the transit call that you get included in, and the replay is in the archetype course. So the inner circle doesn't get the replay, but they have an opportunity to come into the live energy. So we're kind of giving the inner circle, it's like a VIP. It's almost like this is behind the scenes energy. So you have the transit call, and then you have the discussion that Bella and John do for lunar alchemy. Did you want to say something about that?
The thing there is it's a little bit different. So if you come to a transit call, you don't have to be on camera, but it is a Zoom meeting, and it's of course nice if you are in the live energy or on camera, at least when you speak. And usually we don't have that many people. We seldom have more than 20 people, usually between 10 and 20 people maybe. And it's in the live energy. And if you have done the Gene Keys open calls on Wednesdays that Momo was hosting for many years, it's a little bit of that, but I would say a little bit more creative when Ashley's leading it, and sometimes a little bit more dark when I'm leading it, because like Ashley said, we have different flavors, but we're going into, like, as we can capture the essence of that archetype, that gene key, that gate that the sun is illuminating, like Ashley was saying. And then the other thing that Ashley was mentioning is the lunar alchemy, and that's a webinar. So you could come to the lunar alchemy discussion. It's usually about 45-50 minutes, and you can even drive at the same time. Maybe you can type in the chat. But what we really appreciate with John is that we have a conversation. I never prepare. He usually prepares some of the things, and then we see what people are writing in the chat. And now, because it's mostly the inner circle people that we know, we kind of already know, we kind of know them, and then it becomes fun to include that in our conversation. But it's a webinar, so you're not on video, you're not on voice, and you can be there from whatever space that you are in. So some people like that a little bit more. And yeah, I feel like John should be experienced. He's a different energy. I speak probably twice as fast, at least, if not 3 times as fast as he does. But he's saying that now he's kind of catching up a little bit and speaking more in my pace. What's interesting with lunar alchemy is also that there is there is a transmission that John does, but it's not included. It's something that you can add on as well. So it's those discussion leads into an elemental transmission clearing that he does based on his work. Doesn't have to do with Gene Keys and human design per se, but he's using it with the trigram, so the elemental trigrams of the hexagram, that again the transit that we are in, and it's powerful. The people that are in the membership are often speaking about really shifts that are happening because we're kind of giving a frequency package to the body instead of digesting things through the mind.
Yes. Yeah, so those are both on Mondays. So you'll have opportunities to join that. There's events already in the inner circle that notify you of when all these are at, with the Zoom link and everything. And then Belle and I we'll shift to Friday. So Friday is Kilo Kilo does this thing and it's called open space, and Kilo is part of the Unlock Your Design team. Right now, he is working inside. He's been working with the team space as well as the inner circle space. So you may or may not have seen him in the group. Kilo is an amazing projector, and he just has this wonderful talent to really bring people together. And it's kind of like, I don't know, it's a very flowy, beautiful energy, and it's a space that you feel like you can be yourself in, and whatever arises, and we kind of weave stuff together. So the open space is in the inner circle, and it's developed to come together. So it's a community building thing. Like, we're getting to know each other as well, and we're seeing what brought us all together. It's like it's like the 44 gene key. It's about teamwork and synergy, and what brought us together. What's that common thread? And oftentimes what we're bringing to the table on those open house calls, like, a lot of people have a resonance with. Like, there's always, you can connect the dots and be like, oh, wow, this is why we're together. This is what we're centering around. And it's an opportunity for healing and for transparency and for transformation. And I've seen Kilo lead the space and guide it for whatever is meant to come up. And there's been people that have been spotlighted where it's like, okay, are you ready to work through this right now? And they'll go into the guilt, the shame, the whatever's coming up, and process it. And everybody holds space. And there's nothing more powerful than having a witness to your healing. And it's beautiful. So that's something that started 2 weeks ago. We've already done two open spaces, and we're going to continue doing that. That might possibly open up to the public. I'm not sure. We did want to give the bigger groups, you guys, an opportunity to be in these spaces and see what it's like. But honestly, the inner circle has so much value, and it's about $22 for your first month if you use code community. So if you want to try it out, like, $22 is, generally speaking, not that big of an investment. And we really want to make it accessible. And even after you get the $22 off your first month, to make it 22, it's 44 the rest of the time. And like I said, you have the 2 Monday calls, you have the Friday call, and we always do something once a month for like a theme. So we did most of the centers in Thrive by Design. You've probably seen that. We're going into the Ajna hub next week. So you're invited to that, and we'll do the intensive in the inner circle the following week. Is there anything that you wanted to add about the Friday call or about the Thrive by Design series before we talk about the new stuff or the new thing that we're doing?
No, I think that's
okay. Okay. So something that Bella and I have discovered is, like, when we're creating content, when we're creating things, it's usually best for us to do it in live energy. We feel more motivated. We feel more enthusiastic. There's an interaction and exchange, because not only are we interacting with each other, but we can feel the field. It's like almost like having your own talk show and having like a live studio audience, instead of it just being me and Bella recording here. It's like we actually get to feel your presence, and you get to be in the Zoom containers with us in the chat. So it's actually, your energy is adding to it as well. And both Bella and I have open head and ajnas and open emotional centers, and I have an open throat. So there's something that we receive from you all that helps inform and also co-create in the thing that we're putting out there. So yeah, with that, did you want to kind of introduce kind of the space we're creating weekly?
Yeah, I would say that it's honoring our archetypes. So we are creating this amazing library, both the free stuff that you have in the 64 doors and what we call the embodiment courses or the archetype courses. They go by different names, but basically what they are courses where you get to really work with one specific gate. So for example, you might want to work with your life's work. Then you're going to have a workbook. You're going to have a lot of different exercises. You're going to have some videos from this year, maybe previous years. So it's like in one place, everything is focusing in on one of the 64 archetypes or gene keys. And we are going through that library because, like we said, when we do something, we do it in enthusiasm. We do it sometimes in collaboration with others, but it's not always people stay for a year for 64 archetypes. So what we're doing this year is we're going through the archetypes, we see some of them have a lot of different collaborators, a lot of different things, and we are kind of balancing the doors so that the value of them is similar, and so they have at least the same basic things, which is a lot about bridging the gap. So we're looking at each archetype from a human design perspective. In human design, you look at the circuitry, you look at the harmonic gate, you look at like a lot of things just in the human design side, but we also look at the programming partner, we look at the gene key, even we go into every single line, we look at it from an I Ching perspective and the element astrological perspective. We don't go super deep, but you get this overview, which is really the method that we're using, where you bridge the gap and you're using the wheel. So the whole thing about those archetypes courses was that from the beginning they were done in order. So starting in gate 3 and then going through the wheel from the Aries cusp, Aries Taurus cusp, then around the wheel in all the archetypes. And that's really how we kind of in geometry map out the gene keys and the archetypes. Like for me, if I don't have the wheel and I don't have the body graph, I'm kind of a little lost in space. And there's also, of course, with the gene keys, like when we're looking at the profile of the person's life, or even like when people got married or when you started a company, like there is so much the map can say about one specific thing, but it's so important when it comes to the collective energies to look at the wheel. And that's actually the same wheel as astrologers would look at when they look at your astrology. So I feel that there is an understanding, even if you would just buy one single door, which would be maybe your life's work or your purpose, you would still kind of get that zooming out. And of course, the 5th line, the 6th line, which are prominent lines in Ashley's chart and my chart, we are going to want to zoom out and kind of make the mental synthesis of what's there. So for me, I definitely, we have always said that's part of the foundation, the basis. If we would have people that we certify to be readers, for example, in our method, it would be having the archetype courses. It would be to what Ashley was saying, we've been doing monthly with all the centers, which would be equivalent to living your design course in human design, but also adding the frequency band to it, so adding the gene key part of it. So at least the 9 centers and all the archetypes would be a very important foundation for us that everybody should have. So I guess there are also bundles to get all the doors and things like that, but we don't have to go into that right now.
Yeah, I think that this year is hopefully the last year that we're going to kind of be perfecting and completing the things that had to do with the archetypes. So a couple of years ago, we started the website and birthed those babies, those 64 babies. And then the previous year, last year, we went into the courses, and now all of that stuff is done. So we're creating this cohesiveness where all of them have the same content, like Bella said. So in the inner circle, we have we're opening up a space next week. It's called Creator Studio. And what that's going to be is whatever things that Bella and I need to record or that need to be added to the archetype courses, we're going to be recording. So that mostly is including the gene key explanation and all of the line explanations for each of the archetypes. So we have the majority of those teaching videos already inside the Portals of Deconditioning or the archetype courses. And so now we're coming in and we're recording those. So this month we're going to be doing the Eternal Child. We're going to be doing, which is the 3rd gate, and then the Feminine, which is the 2nd, and then the Confidant, which is the 13th. So each week we're going to be recording, and everyone that's in the inner circle will be able to join live. Obviously that recording won't be put in the inner circle, but if you're able to catch it, because maybe you have the 3 or the 2 or the 13 and you want to learn more about it, we're going to be going into depth about these archetypes and the gene keys and the lines. So you can get a lot of information around this and really connect to the archetypes, because I think that after we get all of this foundation work, obviously the book is going to be coming at some point. At some point, it's happening. I know that you guys have been asking for it. We will make a book. We will publish a book. You will be able to get all the archetypes in book form. That is coming. And we're finishing up the workbooks too that go in the courses as well. And I think that where we're heading is how do you embody these archetypes? Like, so you have the teaching, so you have the workbook, so you have these where you can talk about it, but how can you be about it? How can you live the archetypes in your life? And I know that we're moving towards like in-person things. And I think that having this archetypal play and archetypal work where you get to actually walk and live the archetypes, that's going to be something we'll move forward to as well. Because just like Richard utilized human design, Richard Rudd, he birthed the gene keys. And so we're almost like having the gene keys in human design and I Ching and astrology make a baby, and the babies are these archetypes. So this is something that we'll be putting forward that came from us, through us, from us to you, from the divine through us. And we want to be able to create this interactive experience where it's not a mental thing. It's a lived thing. It's an embodied thing. So we're just spending the rest of this year kind of making that a priority so that we have the foundation, so that you have all these resources. And then when we can move into the expression of it, all of the other stuff will be at your fingertips.
Yeah. And I just wanted to mention, because we are live and we don't go live all the time, is that so now we spoke about the foundation and where you could come in on a monthly basis and come in and go out in a way. And we are continuing to do the sequences in the gene keys, but we are actually kind of pulling them apart, and because we have done them several times personally together in different settings. So what we're doing is that we're adding things to them, and especially what Ashley was saying, embodiment is so important. So now, for example, we're doing the activation sequence together with meridian stretches. So isometric work and really going into the body and pulling out stress from the body, and like kind of pulling out like everything in the body that's hidden and that cannot really, when we come to the SQ and those parts, or the body, like between the evolution and the radiance, like it goes through the SQ, it goes through the body. You break through the body, and that's what also makes you able to hold more light. So that's the deeper work, the deeper embodiment work, where we are again bridging the gap between the gene keys, human design, and other systems that have never before even been put together. But that's kind of our specialty. And sometimes we're like, is this too far-fetched? But then we always find the kind of way of connecting things. So we are kind of at the end of doing the activation sequence. We will go into something that's going to include Venus work, probably not the sequence in the order that you're used to, but it's going to have attachment theory. It's going to have some trauma work. It's going to go in also in deeper sense and have intimacy, even like sexual transmutation. So kind of going a little bit more edgy this time with things, and seeing, for us to be a whole being, that we have to look at those places that maybe have been a bit taboo before or a bit censored. We have to really be honest with what is the totality of a human being. So that's the next thing we are going to jump into. We don't really know yet, but you can, keep your eyes open for when we start speaking about that.
Yeah. And I think we'll put something together, a wait list for that. And there will be an introduction to that before you hop in, so that you'll be able to participate in some of the content. But basically, I think all of this is just an invitation to the communities that we've built and like what our intention is within each of them. So we have the public or free Facebook groups, and those ones are, meant for sharing and interacting and sharing that information that you found and asking questions. And it's just this exploration piece where you get to kind of be in the field with other people, because it's one thing to kind of be alone and in the books and stuff, and it's another thing to kind of make connections with people and find others that are like focused on the same thing. Because maybe your partner or your friends, you're the wackadoo in the crew that does this and they don't really want to. So this gives us an opportunity in the Aquarian age to make connections online and to make friendships online. And like Bella and I have never met in person. We don't know what each other look like in the physical, whole body. We already know what part of us looks like. So
or like we don't know what we feel like.
We don't know what we
look like, but I never hugged you even. Like
that's true. Yeah. So we're fostering these communities so that there can be opportunities for you here. I think the thing that excites us the most is like being able to go deep and to even play with you in the smaller communities, like the activation sequence that we call found and the inner circle. And the inner circle is amazing. Like we have formed really great relationships with a lot of people in there. And even some of them have come into our team, and we've been able to go even deeper connections with these people. So it's just it's an amazing space for you to make connection. And I feel like you get to come as you are. You can be whatever crazy wackadoo you are and come there. It's like, this is a place where there are no masks. You don't have to hide anything, and we're all accepting, and you're here living your most authentic expression and bringing whatever shames you have to the table as well, and saying, I can't possibly express myself like this around my family or around this is the place where you're going to feel like you can breathe again, instead of like hiding who you are. And we hope that this gives you the confidence too, to go out there and actually do what you want to do, be who you want to be, instead of tiptoeing around, the judgment or the non-acceptance that you feel. So hopefully this is a soup that or even like a jacuzzi, we're just sitting in it together, sharing our energy and sharing laughter and sharing the hard stuff too, because there should be a place for this kind of healing and camaraderie to be. And
and I want to add, Ashley, because I think it's important to say it's not superficial, because I remember only just 2 weeks ago, I was like, in a way, kind of taking a risk in my own call, saying like, I'm not happy with this call. I'm not happy with what's being shared. Like there is an authenticity in there where all of us, we are showing up and we are kind of real. I've heard Ashley also share some of the things. I'm like, wow, she's sharing really personal stuff with us right now. And it's like, but it wants to come out, with her open throat and her energy. You just like, it's meant to come through. So, and that's of course open head, Ashna throat. Like sometimes she's just channeling something from her own life that then becomes a transmission. So to know that it's not like just kind of, superficial, like we are doing, even in those team spaces, there is a lot of just depth that happens when we commit to kind of coming together. That's what happened. That's what like human beings on their journey of evolution, we create those spaces together. And like you're saying, actually, it's possible online. Maybe, I don't know if it's ideal or not, but definitely where we are in the age of Aquarius, we're going to have to get used to it as one of the ways of doing it.
Mm-hmm. And like in the beginning, how I was mentioning about like the community spaces, and it's like, you're coming into our home and we have some house rules, and I'd hope that you'd recognize us as your hosts and, ask us like, where's the bathroom? What's going on in this room? What do I have access to? What do I not have access to? What can I bring to the table? It's like, do you need me to bring any fruit for the fruit salad? It's like, if you want to share something, like ask us. And I guess what I'm saying with that is to get on into the more like relation to Gene Keys and human design. Like if you were to look at me and Bella's design, like the way that we come together, our energies create the space. So of course, Bella's going to be talking about, her 2.4 is about unifying the network, about coming together and sharing feelings and sharing the heart. And she has the 28.3 in her pearl and in her moon. So it's like, there is going to be risk taking, and it can be messy, and it is going to stir some up. But the possibility when we take risks is what alchemy and transmutation and transformation can happen when we enter the storm, when we take that risk and go where we don't really want to go, or where we feel like, oh, no, society says we're not allowed to talk about this kind of stuff out here. It's like, no, if we're living in full transparency, we're able to be free to be ourselves and bring ourselves to the table no matter where we're at. We're just taking responsibility for our state of being. What's alive in me? What's dying in me? And bringing that to the table, because full transparency helps us also discern when you come into interaction and exchange with another person, what's yours, what's theirs. And when they speak it and they put it out, it's like, man, I was feeling that and I thought it was me, but I guess it's you, but I have a resonance with it. So let me explore that too. It's like, there's amplification happening in the container too. So like with my 6.5, I'm like, I can feel the emotional realm and what dam wants to break. And I also can feel with my, 3.2, like what wants to be created, like how can we play in this space? And I want to understand you, and I want others to understand me. And I want this interchange where we're being our true, authentic selves. And my 15.1, like, I can love any extreme as long as I understand it. You know, any extreme behavior, as long as I understand it, I can deal with it. You know, and I like it. I like the variety, and I like what it brings to the table. Sometimes Bella's a little bit more risk taking than me. I'm like, oh, this is causing too much conflict. You're like, I kind of like it. I kind of like this. Yeah. So there's this exploration of like, what is your most natural, authentic expression, and what happens when you bring yourself to the container, and how do you add to it? So I love the alchemy that's possible in the containers that we've created when you are brave enough and courageous enough to share your voice, to share your presence, to share your being with others. Yeah.
Yeah, as usual, this is longer than we always plan, but I guess it is because we're not coming in all the time. So now here you got the whole smorgasbord of everything we do.
Yeah. How long were we live for? 35 minutes. Okay. Well, I guess the conclusion or wrap up of this is I hope that you find the place that you fit the best, whether it be in the Gene Keys and Human Design group, or if you're just following us on YouTube or our Facebook page, or if you feel like I'm really desiring more connection and community, and I want to see what the inner circle is like. If you type in the code community, you get 50% off your first month of the inner circle. We want you to try it out. We want to see if it's going to bring something more out of you. If you're going to start to feel like, oh yeah, this is my space, these are my people. And if not, there's no hard feelings. Sometimes it's for you, sometimes it's not for you, but you're never going to know unless you take that leap and see who's in there for you, what's in there for you. And yeah. So Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, we have a lot going on every week, and you are invited. This is your formal invitation to that space of the inner circle. And next week, we'll see you for the Ajna Hub unlocking on Tuesday at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern. We hope to see you there. And thanks for hanging out with us today.